Hello my friends, I'm Rick and this is your seat at the table, and we are looking at Battletech Historical Operation Klondike by Catalyst Games. And I read this here a couple weeks ago, and it took me about a week to get it all read, and I was really there's some people out there that have done some crack videos for their YouTube channels on this very topic. I mean, they are, off the top of my head, I can't. I know the names of them. They're just drawing blanks on them. Google Operation Klondike on YouTube, and see what the hell pops up. You won't have any regrets, and that's assuming you don't already subscribe to those folks' channels in the first place. So for me, I watched those videos before I had an opportunity to get this, and when I first started to look back into Battletech at a year back or so, one of the first things that propped up was watching those videos, and I thought, well, gee, I want to get that book. So I went online, I Googled it, and I could find them for like $600, one for $900. I'm like, are you effing me? Are you freaking effing me? I mean, geez, that's like insane. And so obviously I wasn't going to get my own hard copy of it, and one of my generous subscribers punted me a PDF of this, and I printed it out obviously and read through it. Now it's a time period piece. It serves two purposes, in my opinion, maybe three, but the main breakdown is from a lore perspective. It gives us a window into what happened after the SLDF finally decided to stop and try to create a society, how the society went and basically destroyed itself, and from the ashes rose the clans, and not necessarily a good thing, but then it shows battle by battle how they retake the primary Kerensky worlds of the Pentagon, and establish themselves as the clans and the sole power of inheritors of the SLDF legacy, so on and so forth. And then from that perspective, it's from a lore. It really fills in some blanks, and it gives us a deeper understanding of the clans, how they were formed, why they operate some of the ways that they do now. I mean, obviously they've had hundreds of years of evolution since the creation of the original clans, and things have changed and been modified beyond Nicholas Kerensky's vision or madness, depending on how you want to look at it. From a game perspective, this also gives us plenty of information, so we can recreate or we can operate in the Operation Klondike era. So we can be part of the initial founding from the clans. Keep that in mind too, that's something that's a kind of a unique time period, because you would be using basically Star League era equipment, and equipment that's not quite common in the inner sphere, and somewhat their tactics and so on and so forth, and against this completely new vision of Kerensky's ideal for the SLDF descendants, i.e. the clans, and the clans beginning to form their own unique pathways and styles and so on and so forth. So that's an interesting era to actually run the games in, from that perspective. It's just a great historical era piece, and a great piece for lore, because it does go a long way to introducing to us what was going on, what was being thought, a lot of the problems and things and issues. So obviously Kerensky's dream never panned out the way he expected it to, and it almost would have been better off if they'd have just stayed in the inner sphere and took sides. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's still a problem, and the clans are an aberration of what human society's meant to be like. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's definitely out there. It's definitely kind of considered a bad guy situation for what's going on versus the inner sphere, and so on and so forth. So there was just a lot of great information in here, story-wise. I mean, I really enjoyed going through it, and I expect to go back and do it and read it again maybe two or three more times over the next couple of years, just because, like anything I read or anything I view, you always miss something. There's always nuances and details that the first time through don't catch it. So it's a matter of how things roll out. It also gives us a really good blueprint for the Pentagon worlds and the key worlds in that aspect. There's not so much in here on the Kerensky's cluster, the cluster itself. Of course, we got our breakdown of character, the founding cans and succons for the various clans, as well as the clan initial clan concept ideas and things like this. So from the beginning, then we get our little bit of our maps and stuff. It gives us a little bit bigger idea of space, right? So one of the things early on when people started talking, well, the clans was, the inner sphere were doomed. When I said, okay, so if you look at this little map, this little blotch on the map, which is what this blow up is, this little area here, and you superimpose it over this thing here, the clans never stood a chance. At the end of the day, the clans really eventually they wore themselves out, and humanity, or the inner sphere, just buried them under troops, and it was always going to end up that way. Just is what it is. All right. So over and all, this was not a bad. I really enjoyed it. I mean, there was a lot to be had in this book, and a lot to absorb. Of course, from the main perspective of the inner sphere, or from right, from the main perspective of the inner sphere, our current game evolutions and things like that, it has no impact whatsoever. So the main impact is lore, giving us more depth into the clans and where they came from and who they are and why they are the way they are. And then, of course, like I said, it opens up that small window where you could choose to go and recreate the battles and operate at the beginning of the nascent clans for the retaking of the Pentagon worlds. Nothing wrong with that. So, hey, if you can get your hands on this and you don't have it, it's worth having. If you really like the lore of the history, if you like the clans, it's worth having. I mean, I'm not knocking it at all. It's just, is what it is. So anyway. Going on, my friends, this is Rick, and hey, if you like the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tell your buddies, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell anybody else that's in the gaming industry or gaming fandom that says, hey, this is a channel worth checking out, right? Till next time, I hope you guys have yourself